Call the village board meeting to order. Roll call.
Trustee Cook?
Here.
Trustee Schwartz?
Here.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Hebda?
Here.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Marquardt?
Here.
President Byrne?
Here. We have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
You're stuck.
Are there any citizens that wish to address the board tonight? Since we don't have a committee of the whole, we are going to go into closed session after the board meeting and to discuss litigation, and that's about it, right?
Correct.
Oh,
Me? Okay. Well, I was looking at, I apologize. Well, to make a long story short, we're going into closed session after this to discuss litigation, and we won't be coming out to discuss any other business. So, okay, please identify yourself, even though I know who you are.
Everybody hear me? Yep. Yes, so. My name is Chet Liss. I live at 515 Torrey Pines Way in Vernon Hills, and I've come here with one last appeal. I only have one request for an architectural change to the Menard store. The request I am asking for is, take a look at this picture.
Long Grove.
Yes.
Okay,
This is the Long Grove store.
right.
So the request I am asking is, if you see from this Long Grove store, the sign over the main entrance is a beige color, and it's of the ephes stucco material. So the request I'm making is, let's not have the Vernon Hills Menards store be second class to the Long Grove store. Let's at least match the Long Grove store. I am not asking to get rid of the rainbow anymore. I'm not asking to get rid of the black outline. What I'm asking is change the background to be like the Long Grove store. Change it to tan, beige, any of the color bricks you have up there. Notice you have an ephes there. Currently, the plans call for a rib metal, emerald green. Okay, to me, architectural-wise, that makes the Vernon Hills store second rate to Long Grove store. And I don't think the citizens or the Vernon Hills board wants to have a Menard store second rate to Long Grove store anyplace else. So that's the one singular request I am asking for the board, to change that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please come up and state your name.
My name is Eric Lador, 310 Bately in Vernon Hills. I'm sorry I came into the process very late. I'm probably wasting my breath now because I'm also talking about Menards, and the thing that bothers me about it is that the word beauty doesn't really enter into your designs. All the places that were developed in Vernon Hills are always surrounded by an ocean of asphalt. It started with a big mall, and every other place is always having that huge parking lot that even on the busiest day of the year, it is not even 50% full. The huge lot in front of where Kmart used to be, on the busiest day, is not even half full. The lot east of the mall is completely empty on the busiest day of the year. Parking is always in such great excess. It is unnecessary and it's very ugly. And that is also the case with Mariano and the hardware store next to it. I forget the name right now. But the thing that I was really hoping that you would start thinking about is, again, bring pedestrians and bicyclists and people into places. I don't know anybody who likes to go into Walmart and enjoy shopping. We do shop there. I shop there only when I need something. I don't go there to enjoy. When I go in many European towns, the downtown is always full of people. Why? Because it's always a beautiful place with a lot of vegetation, many trees. People like to eat outside, under the tree, look at passerby. What do? Sit at near Walgreen, at Starbucks, and look at cars passing by. They have 3 tables outside. Yeah, of course, because no one wants to sit there in the sun. So I know that Menards is probably a lost fight. And anyway, I'm too late for it. But anything new that you want to bring to the village, please think again about pedestrians and bicyclists and try to make it beautiful without an ocean of asphalt. Even if on the busiest day of the year, people have to walk 300 feet, it's probably good for them. Thank you.
Hi there. Just handheld mic. Hi, I'm David Oppenheim. There it goes. Now it on. Can you hear me now? Okay. Hi, I'm David Oppenheim. I live at 1584 Hake Point Lane. We've spoken a number of times over the past month. I appreciate you listening to me each of these times. I want to express a few things, first of all. I have already mentioned to you that I feel that this is a poor idea for a project. I don't believe that this takes all of the interests of the full village into account, especially those who are most affected, those in Greg's Landing and in adjoining Libertyville. I've mentioned to you over the past month numerous things about zoning and the covenants, et cetera, and you've certainly disregarded those. I know you have a difference of opinion in terms of warehouse. I looked up my own definition of warehouse, and it just says a large storage building. I personally pointed out to the village that you've already violated the covenants in terms of the Starbucks and the Jersey Mike's parking lot and the new building that's going in. Were you not aware of that? You've already violated that. It's supposed to be 50 feet from Milwaukee as per the covenants, but it's only 25 feet, and the petitioner asked for 10 feet. I've mentioned how the comprehensive land use plan, including all of the meetings with Ralph Campbell, talked about 360-degree facade, which this does not include, as 270, but the north side still is just basically an open face. I talked about the zoning rules, which I believe that you violated in terms of outdoor storage. And I want to bring that one in particular up today. As we discussed earlier, you were basing this on Appendix F of the annexation agreement, as I understood, correct? Yet in the ordinance that you are about to vote for today, you say that the annexation agreement has expired. Therefore, Appendix F shouldn't apply, and this should revert to B1 zoning. And if that's the case, then you didn't exactly do all the things that you need to do in terms of B1 zoning. We've talked about how, once again, in the Ralph Campbell study, buildings that are over 1 story should be not only beautiful on all sides, but they should be recessed. We've talked about how any special use should, as a matter of fact, be identified whether or not this will decrease property values in adjacent properties. I didn't see any study anywhere, but we have numerous real estate agents who have told people who live directly behind that their property value is going to go down at least 10%. Now, the ordinance says significantly, and that's not well defined, but to me, 10% of a $300,000 property is pretty significant. But there's been no study to show that. You haven't investigated what you really believe is going to occur there. We've talked about setback for the lot 2 in front of Menards, and I understand that that's Bradford's problem, basically, that they can't fit anything in at this point. And once again, I would like to bring the warehouse issue back up again. And I will point out that we're prepared to pursue this. I spent an hour and a half this morning with Mr. Morrison, Joe Morrison, who says he knows you, we spent an hour and a half talking about the warehouse issue and other things, and he feels very confident that you are actually not in the right. Regarding the annexation agreement, it was actually this body, it was Vernon Hills, that won a lawsuit back in 1994, as you may recall, Bank of Waukegan versus Vernon Hills, that Mr. Morrison was actually a part of, in which you won on the basis that an annexation agreement that has lapsed doesn't apply anymore. So I contend that the annexation agreement that you're holding in terms of the zoning rules doesn't apply anymore. So what you vote for today, whatever that may be, really shouldn't apply if you're using Appendix F as the annexation agreement. So it's with a heavy heart that I say this, but I actually represent not just me. I'm not just a gadfly here to annoy you. I've got much better things to do with my time. I'm a pediatrician, as you know. I heal children. I bring baby boys into the covenant of Judaism with circumcisions on a regular basis. I have lots of other things that keep me busy. But with a heavy heart, I say, this isn't good for our community. We feel that you could have done much better, and we're going to pursue this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Ling. I live at 1992 North Crenshaw Circle in Bay Hill. I live in a second floor townhome. I'll be about 100 feet from the loading dock of the proposed plan. I have big concerns with noise and lighting.
If you like, use the mic.
This one. So I live in a second floor townhome, about 100 feet from the loading dock of the building, or the building to be built. And the fence is only 14 foot high, the proposed wood fence, racking fence. My line of sight from my balcony is about 17 to 18 feet. So I don't feel the fence is tall enough, and I don't feel the fence is adequate enough to keep out the noise. I know Menards is going to put trees up, but it's going to take a while for them to grow. And if the trees don't grow and they have to replace them, it's going to take quite a while for that barrier to become a decent height and thick enough to obscure most of the building. The other thing is there's going to be 18-foot high lights, about 60 foot apart, all along the fence, both on the west side and the north side. I realize these lights are probably going to be pointing down for the most part, but still there's going to be a lot of glare from the building, so there's going to be a lot of light. The side of the building is going to have lights on it too, so it seems to me there seems to be going to be a lot of lights back there, more than probably would be needed even in dark hours. I don't think the barrier is really sufficient enough for how close we are going to be to this building. 100 feet is very close. And with all the noise and light back there, especially at nighttime, it's a lot. The other thing is in Exhibit C, you have mentioned that there will be no serious and depreciating effect on the value of surrounding property. I spoke to a real estate agent, and they said that our property would expect to decline in value by 10%, or thereabouts, by virtue of building Menards there. So I take issue with that statement. I don't know how you came to that. If you had some consultants that wrote a report, it would be nice if I could see that. I don't know if you have that. But it's hard to imagine that there won't be any depreciation in property when it's that close to Menards. So I don't know how you can say that in there. Yeah, I don't know what to say. So I hope if Menards does go through, I don't want it to, obviously, but if it does, I hope you will rethink the barrier, and I would like a 20-foot brick wall would be nice, if possible, and if necessary, if Menards has to shrink its store slightly in order to make room for that, I think we should push them to do that. So hopefully you would rethink the barrier and take into account, the citizens of Vernon Hills that live so close to this. And right now, we live in a very nice community of Greg's Landing, and being such close to Menards, it's going to be rough. Since we've lost such a large amount of value in our property, and then having been hit by another 10% or so in property value, that's hard to take. So when you say, this is going to increase taxes for the community, I have a hard time believing that with, if it takes sales tax away from Lowe's and Home Depot. But when our property decreases by that much, I just hope you will change the plans at least for the barrier to make it more robust. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Jack. Hey, who's next? Anybody else?
Thank you I'm Robert Sloat. I live in the Point. I'm a member of the Greg's Landing Homeowners Association, speaking today pretty much as a private citizen. I just have a couple questions to the board. And they're brought about from my experience. I practiced intellectual property law, contract drafting for 35 or 40 years. I taught a course at John Marshall for 5 years in their master's program on drafting legal instruments. I'm asking the board, have you gotten a legal opinion from your inside counsel on the covenants, the issues that we've been talking about? Yes or no? You don't have to answer, but my wife is a linguist. She looked over the language, and she's had trouble trying to figure out what it meant. And if we're just looking at it as regular citizens or as trustees without getting a formal legal opinion, I don't think we should be doing that. The second thing is, have we gotten any kind of a legal opinion on what Mr. Oppenheim raised on the annexation agreement having expired, and now we maybe have to look at B1 for the applicable zoning on this particular property. And that's really all I want to know. Thanks.
Okay.
Can we hear from Attorney Kenny?
Yeah, if he wants to speak to that, sure.
Yes, I've looked at the covenants, and yes, I believe that the village nor Menards is violating the covenants. This is a retail use, not a warehouse use. And I disagree with Mr. Oppenheim on Illinois case law regarding the zoning and annexation agreement. When the annexation agreement expires, the zoning that was granted under the annexation agreement does not expire. And it's also been our policy since the creation of Greg's Landing to follow the terms of Exhibit F throughout the entire Greg's Landing property. So I'm very confident in our position.
I was just going to say, is this on or no?
And you want to say your name, please?
Yeah. Scott Brand, 1652 North St. Andrew. So all I wanted to say was, we voted out Walmart a few years ago. And, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're voting in Walmart. The only difference is it's bigger, it has moving sidewalks, and it's not reusable. So if and when it goes out of business, we're going to have the largest structure in Lake County, and it'll be abandoned. It just doesn't make sense to me. So James Schultz in the last meeting said Menards is the market leader in home improvement. It's not even third, right? It goes Home Depot, Lowe's, a lot of others. That's a fact, by the way. That's a market share fact. I understand that you might have pushback, but that is, if we're working off things that are not facts or we're distorting facts, it's important that we understand the actual facts. And Menards is 5% of the market, 5%. They're a value store. They're directly aligned with Walmart. For all intents and purposes, we are now rescinding what we did before and approving Walmart. So I just don't understand what the logic difference is that we came to decide 4 or 5 years ago to vote down Walmart. And I know your wife persuaded you, but I mean, I'd like to think that at some point we just look at it factually and objectively and make a decision based on what the right thing to do is. So if it's $20 million in revenue and that accounts for $1 million in tax revenue, the residents that just spoke aren't going to benefit from that $1 million. What they're going to feel is the $30,000 each in lost property value. Their property tax will continue to increase as it has because we'll adjust the rate, and I know that's not here, but that's in the county. So they'll feel that pain twice. And it's just, I think it's disingenuous to say that the residents are going to benefit. There won't be any residents that benefit from Menards because we have Menards. It's 10 minutes away. The only people that will benefit are the people that live north or west that could get here. But I think we need to be honest with ourselves about what it is. It's Walmart, only it's a home improvement version of Walmart. And if it goes out of business, you'll have an abandoned building that has moving sidewalks, multi-level. Nobody will be able to reuse it. It will sit there. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add to what the gentleman said and a couple comments concerning the last meeting where the lady brought up the same issue. Do we need a third home improvement store? And the comment then was, Builder Square went out of business without the competition. Yes, indeed, but the whole chain went out of business. The comparison with Dominic's also came up, that Dominic's went out of business, and you knew it 10 years before it actually did. Why? Because Safeway knew that the store is not competing well and is not bringing enough income with Target across the street. So they were already uncomfortable with Jewel on the west, Jewel on the east, now Target across the street. They folded. With the case of Menards, maybe Menards will survive because they're planning a much bigger operation than either Lowe's or Builder Square or Home Depot. Us as a community, I don't really care who goes out of business. I don't want any of them to go out of business. Menards is probably considering they will go out of business because we're offering more. Therefore, if they did an economical analysis, and I'm sure they did, their analysis doesn't apply to the village. We need an independent analysis, also not of Lowe's and not of Home Depot, analyzing, is there really enough for 3 such big hardware stores? Thank you again.
Okay, anyone else? Joe, do you want to do a summary of the changes that we've gone through all these months with this particular project? Or an overview?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. What's before you today is what was after committee of the whole meetings on both June 17th and July 15th, what the recommendations to staff were to prepare the necessary documents, which is the ordinance before you. The attached, specifically what's before you and not what was sent last week, is revisions specifically related to conditions of approval, numbering a total of 43 that are language changes, mainly typographical, but also to tighten up the language that's specifically related to a number of different items, specifically the prohibition of outdoor storage, building design elevations, stormwater design along the north property line, and landscaping. Exhibit C is a development permit which was created and it will include the specific conditions of approval. Some of the specific changes that are before you are from 1A, tightening up the language to make sure that the landscaping that's installed along Libertyville Ridge and Bay Hill are all the landscaping is between 8 feet and 12 feet in height, as well as ensuring that in the event that an agreement can't be made between Menards and the adjacent homeowners associations, that Menards will reimburse the HOAs for the cost of purchasing and constructing the improvements. That's to ensure that an agreement can take place. Otherwise, landscaping can be then purchased by the HOAs and installed by themselves. In addition to that, some of the other language changes that were included in before you related to the parking along the front elevation in front of the garden center to allow perpendicular parking in accordance with the site plan. This aligns the technical review comments that were previously submitted with the site plan that was allowed and was previously discussed at the staff level and was agreed upon due to the allowance of loading and unloading of purchased products from the garden center and ease of use. Another item of particular note is related to a previous condition of approval to prohibit overnight parking and idling of trucks. After conversation with Menards and understanding a little bit more of the operational aspects of home improvement industry as a whole, it was understood that Menards delivery trucks as well as pickup and go trucks would be permitted to park there as a condition to park within the material yard. And this is in standing with Home Depot and other stores that do have the delivery truck services, and this allows them to continue to operate that as well. Also before you, and will be considered as an exhibit, is a layout of where the outdoor storage would be prohibited. This is along the west elevation of the building and would not include the racking along the fence line, but this is something that Menards has reviewed and agreed upon. You also see an aerial photo that's in front of you. This is purely for illustrative purposes of what a Menards looks like in Evendale, Ohio, the picture taken in August of 2013. This is certainly something that we were not looking to have in the village. Instead, we're looking at the exhibit before you to prohibit that storage at this location. And those are the main items. So if you have any questions, the petitioners are here.
Right. Okay. All right, is there any comments or questions from the board? All right. Trustee Hebda.
Thank you. First of all, to reassure the residents, I believe that the outside storage issue has been addressed, and I thank you, Joe, for working on that with Menards, and I thank them for reciprocating. My second question, though, is based on what Mr. List just showed us with the front and the green, is there board support to change that so that we have this look rather than the green? Because I certainly like this look.
Just for the main entryway?
That main entryway.
Not the side.
No, I don't think you can, because that's really, those are for protection for rain, but I'm just looking at this part.
the green color that we don't like.
Yes, right, I understand that. I've got that message, so I'm looking at this. If that can be, I know that it was approved by P and Z, but I'm asking for a
P&Z was the
change.
one that-
They were the one that
P and Z was the one that,
wasn't approved. It
right,
wasn't
right,
approved.
so, but I do like this, and I think this was the previous look before.
So it's just the main entryway
Yes,
that you
the
want to
main
do away with
entry.
the green in the background?
Yes,
Or on the,
and to change that material to an ephes, a beige ephes.
And the rainbow,
The rainbow
She's
can
leaving
stay.
all of that.
The rainbow can stay. I'm not going to fight that.
I'll agree with that, Cindy,
Okay,
just to get it.
no problem? Okay, good. Thank you. I guess where will you add that in these items then, Joe?
Just the main.
We can incorporate that into an exhibit as part of the ordinance, as a condition of approval. I think that their initial proposal one of their initial proposals included a tan ephes backing. However, after consultation with the Planning and Zoning Commission, the belief was by the P and Z was to add some architectural interest by incorporating the green into that to distinguish from the rest of the building because of it being a two-story building, unlike the Lowe's property. So they want to make sure that was something that,
Okay, but you can add,
No,
okay.
I understand it, yeah.
okay.
Yes. Thank you.
But it's not all of it, it's just that one.
Just that one? part?
Yeah.
Yes, just
Yeah.
that one part.
Okay.
That's a big part.
Yeah.
It's a big,
Yeah.
big part, right?
Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
All right, is there a motion to approve and passage of ordinance 2014-029, an ordinance granting certain approvals for property commonly known as 33 acres of the Greg's Landing North Commercial Parcel, located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Milwaukee Avenue and Greg's Parkway in the village of Vernon Hills, Illinois.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
And go to closed
Go
session.
to executive session, yes.
Do you motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I made.
Second.
Is there a motion to adjourn to go to closed session?
Our motion, I second it.
Roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz? Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye, motion carries. Okay.